Welcome to a fresh interview at Tech Circle. Today we are with Zoho's Director of AI Research, Ramprakash Ramamoorthy. Hi Ramprakash. Thank you for joining us and thank you so much for making the time.
Hi Supriya, thank you very much and I'm excited to be here.
Perfect. Before we get at it and we talk about your co-work at Zoho, I want to know, please tell me a bit about your journey so far at the company. You started at it from an intern to now actually heading the entire AI and ML lab and all of its operations at Zoho. So tell me a bit about your journey so far.
Perfect. So it's actually a very beautiful experience. Back then in 2011, when Zoho was still a very small company in Velachery in Chennai, a friend of mine introduced me to a contact on social media, and then I got to an internship. So initially I worked for a Zoho product, and then I joined the summer internship where I was working with the log analysis product of Manage Engine, the IT management division of Zoho Corp. I did some work related to Lucene, search indices and all of that. During this part of internship, I also had some experiences working with things like sentiment analysis. But back then, AI wasn't what it is today. Probably it was too early for the AI spring. It was called by different names, right? So you had this whole notion of big data where collecting and processing data was all the hyped piece of tech back then. And then we had these little things like probabilistic programming, Bayesian computing, and things like that. So that's when I did a small proof of concept for our service delivery tools using this framework called Apache Mahout. So that was when it started. And then I went on working with the event log analyzer team where I built the search platform for it. Sometime in 2015, when I wanted to, do something apart from everyday product and get into some research, that's when this idea of AI and ML came in. The world was warming up to it. That's when we started understanding the how recurrent neural networks can create a very good difference. And we were seeing some great feats in computer vision. So we thought it will be a right fit to see if Zoho would benefit out of this piece of hyped tech. So we started really small. We saw, we were a 2-member team back then. And we saw if we could bring in AI into Zoho's products. Would they be of commercial value? Would they really create a difference was the thought process. And then we started slow and we started building out a team from there. And today we are probably around 100 engineers doing AI. And our
all out of
AI
Chennai.
All out of Chennai and some out of Tenkasi too. Our center down south in Tamil Nadu. And we are also distributing this to our rural offices. So since people are working from home, and the idea is to have people settle near their homes, near their villages, and have a small spoke office there. And once in a while, we all get together at the hub office. And so today we are 100 plus people doing AI, and our AI platform gets about a billion API calls every day. And we are growing really strong.
Perfect. On that same end, I want to know what a typical day looks like for you currently at the company.
We read a lot of academic papers. So 50-60% of the time is spent on reading a lot of academic literature and then seeing how to fit it back into an enterprise product suite. And then we have our stand-ups, we have our meetings every day. So this is how our AI team is structured. There are a dedicated set of people with math background who do the paper reading and who help crack the math. And then there is an implementation team. And then there are forward deployment engineers who talk to different teams of Zoho. They go there and work with the different teams, understand their customers' requirement and ship the AI product via those teams. And then there are the ops group where, scaling AI is also a challenge. You need modern hardware, you need GPUs, and it has to be cost effective. GPUs are like crazy expensive. Retraining a neural network is crazy expensive. So basically 60% of the time is spent into identifying what is new, what is next, and the 40% spending time with the team where we are trying to productionize whatever we have today. So that would be one day at Zoho Labs ML and AI division.
Given all of these core technicalities in place at the labs functioning on a day-to-day basis, how does your work really bridge that gap between Zoho's business requirements, and these core R&D efforts? what I'm trying to get at is I want to get a sense on what some of the use cases can be in terms of these AI's return on investment at the company.
The first AI feature that went out about 1.5 years of research, a lot of back and forth between the research and the product teams, and finally we launched it. And we were trying to, we were waiting for the feedback. The whole team was eagerly waiting for the feedback to come in. We were constantly refreshing our mailbox. 1 week happened, 2 weeks happened. There was absolutely no response. Right. And then on, I think around the 16th day or the 17th day, there comes in an email asking, hey, how do I turn this off? Right. So
I didn't
the
get
team was very
okay.
The email asked, hey, how do I turn this off?
Okay, that's not a very coherent sense of feedback, no? Like,
no, you launch something, and somebody asks, how do I shut this down? How do I not use this? How do I stop AI recommendations from coming in?
Why?
Let me tell you. So what we are trying to do is we are trying to bring in AI. We are trying to retrofit AI into products that have existed for like a decade, for close to 8-10 years, and these people have had a lot of interaction with the product, with the data insight, and all of a sudden you launch an AI feature that is just trained on the last 7 days of your data, and shows them a suggestion.
Okay.
And all they wanted was, hey, how do I take this down? I don't want this suggestion. I know it better than this thing.
Oh, so okay. The machine, human ego, I guess, that comes into play.
This was a learning for us. Yeah. And then we started introducing explainable AI. That is when the usage graph actually went up. In fact, when our AI models started explaining their decisions, right? For example, in our network monitoring product, Site 24/7, we have an outage prediction module where when it started telling, I'm expecting an outage in the next 1 hour because my server's RAM has been so high, or because my server CPU has had an unusual spike when compared to all the usual Fridays, right? When we started giving in finer details, usage went up. Okay. Right? So this is
an excellent case study, I'd imagine, especially if it's a case study under, say, industrial psychology. It's a new era that you're stepping in.
Yeah. Because we were retrofitting AI into products, right? Yeah. We didn't create a new AI product that does a lot of things, and no, we were trying to fit in products where things were previously solved. The term intelligence has been overused in the enterprise software industry, right? Any scheduled routine is intelligence. Any rule that you write where when this count reaches so and so number, set an alert. That is an intelligent feature. Now, when you bring in something called artificial intelligence that learns out of your past data and then brings in predictions, it is important to give in an explanation why this particular prediction is given out. Because interestingly, if you look at all the B2C products we use, right? All, let's say, your search engine, social network, your speaker, which is essentially a microphone, but that is smartly packaged and sold as a smart speaker. All of it is for personal use, right? So I am recommended a friend or a content to read. It's only me who's going to take that decision, right? But in an enterprise setup, there is a team that is going to act on the decision that the AI system takes. And I cannot just go tell my boss that this AI system recommended me, so I'm doing this. I'll also have to explain him why I'm doing this. So if that input also comes, and AI systems are generally only 70-80% accurate or date, so it would be good for the using human to understand if the AI model can tell you why it gave away. And since you asked about ROI, for example, things like translation, things like grammar. Now, let's say any enterprise software you use involves writing a lot of emails, things like email, service desk, support desk, and a lot of it has editors. Editors is one key component of any enterprise software you use. Now, you actually edit business secrets using the editor, right? Now, let's say when you're using a third-party translation tool or a third-party grammar correction browser add-on, right? It essentially means you are selling up or giving all your confidential information for these companies to, extract value out of your data, right? Not just the grammar part, but what if somebody gets to know all your secrets? It can have your AWS keys. It can have confidential information that is proprietary to your organization. So can't put a specific ROI number to it, but the value this privacy advantage gives, where your enterprise software does AI for you to do in-editor translation, right? That is something our customers love.
Yeah.
And automating the next decision point. So broadly, the goal of enterprise software and the goal of AI is very similar. One is to optimize processes, and two is to maximize revenue. So AI helps these tools achieve it in a better fashion, so that all of your employees are more productive, your customers are happier, and finally your business is successful.
Yeah, very
That is
cleverly
what I would
put.
say.
You can't put a number on data privacy. Perfect. So now, since we're heading towards the end of the interview, a last couple of questions from my end. I want to know from this entire view of the business landscape, core AI businesses are more mainstream than ever, as you know you've gone through in the last few answers. In the past week, in fact, we saw billionaire tech entrepreneur Tom Sibbles C3.ai announce a strong entry at Nasdaq. I want to know, what are your thoughts on this manner of traction that the core AI space has been garnering?
Yes, the core AI space is gaining a lot of traction, but this is what I see. I see the value comes in X plus AI. It's about how well you add value. Let's take CRM, right? So it's about how well you use AI within CRM to make sure. So AI, I don't see standalone AI becoming a very bigger brand, but it's about how well you stitch it together with your existing moving components, and thereby help the end user to get there what he achieves in a very good way. So I always believe, in fact, Niti Ayog's AI policy for India says X plus AI is more important. It's about how well you apply AI to X, so that the end process,
the one from November, the Niti Ayog.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Since we're talking closer home in India, can you give me a sense of how the landscape's changed here? COVID-19 has only propelled, for sure, the adoption of AI further. I was reading this PwC report earlier this week that TechCircle reported on, and the implementation rate, the report said in the country's enterprises has been 70% versus 62% in the last year. So can you give me a sense on that?
Sure. So I see AI becoming a part and parcel of everything. For example, we have something called AI Ops. Slowly it'll be DevOps. It was DevOps. Now we are calling it AI Ops. And slowly any DevOps tool will have a basic AI functionality too. AI will be talked less and less about. And that means AI is being used more and more. Now think about databases. 10 years back, today you don't go and advertise a product saying I use a database. It is for a given that any piece of software uses some form of data storage inside. So the same way, all of these advanced analytics, all of these artificial intelligent tools, we are still a long time away from general intelligence, artificial general intelligence. But these narrow intelligence, less and less will be talked about. Like I said, that icon recommender, nobody would expect that to be powered by AI. People generally think of AI as self-driving cars, cancer cures. No. Think of that little things. Think of that next word your keyboard is predicting, right? So I see AI to be everywhere and not to be talking about much. AI will be talking less and less about, but it will be used more and more.
All pervasive. Yeah. So to wrap this up, we interviewed Sridhar a few days ago, and he was talking about how at a company level, the growth has been explosive, a 10x jump in just the last 5 years. And he said that in the next 5 years, the company plans to grow another 5 times. So on that end, are there any sort of insights that you can push from your end? If not at a company level, on a macro level, are there any trends or insights that you would like to make for 2021?
Perfect. At least from an AI perspective, which I know a lot about, I see the explanations going strong. I see today's AI is built on a lot of correlation. I see AI being built on causation and counterfactual inference, where today's AI is like a 3-year-old. This happens, this also happens. Correlation, but you should know what is causating what, and that kind of insights. Explainable AI with very low data. For example, we are opening up our developer platform now. Now, if you enable a developer that is building on Zoho platform to build an AI with very little data, because like I said, most enterprises have very little data to operate on, and most algorithms today need terabytes of data for them to meaningfully give an output. So AI with causation, AI with explanation, AI that can work on really low amounts of data is going to be the trend in AI for the next 2 years. And from a business perspective, I see lot of AI adoption, but not a lot of people are going to talk about it. But AI is going to be beneath every piece of software you are going to interact with in the near future.
Perfect. And that brings us to the end of this interview. Thank you so much for your time, Ramprakash, and sharing your thoughts with us as well.
Thank you, Supriya. It was a pleasure. Thank you.